What's up guys, I'm Mike Sasser and I'm excited to bring you another tutorial on, what's that? I haven't done any tutorials yet. This is my very first of hopefully many tutorials about things specific to boudoir. And I'm hoping that I can share some information that'll really help you guys out. So to begin, I'm very excited to be bringing you the very first ever in existence gear video on YouTube. There's been a billion gear videos. A billion gear videos, but I don't know if there are any specific to boudoir. So with that, let's play my very cool, still in its infancy, probably will change soon, intro. I mean, seriously, gear is everyone's favorite topic. Oh, hey, what camera do you use? Oh, nice. What lens was that shot on? Yeah, but how big are your memory cards? Did you download the new firmware update? You shooting that at 1.4? Zooms or primes? Did you use like 8 strobes? I recently switched to Sony. I'm shooting this film on the Sony A9, which I love for all these different reasons. We'll get into those later, but I think what's more important are the lenses that you use. Now, there's 3 lenses that I have used to shoot boudoir. That is the 35mm 1.4, the 50mm 1.4, and the 85mm 1.8. And each of them have their strengths, but I currently shoot about 99% of my images on my 50mm. In fact, when I was going through pictures that I was going to use for this video, I actually had a really hard time finding images on my 35 and on my 85. So let's talk about the pros of each. The 35mm is an amazing lens. I love this focal length. It's super cinematic. It's really good for times when you're shooting in a really small space. I know a lot of photographers have to shoot in hotel rooms or second bedrooms or things like that. So the 35 is really amazing for that. It's an amazing lens to show your closeness to the subject. And it's a very personal lens for this reason. Sometimes it can feel like you can even reach through the picture to the subject. It's also a great lens for showing off the scene. If you're shooting in a studio that's really beautiful, if you're shooting outside that's really gorgeous, if you've got a setup that has a lot of details around, the 35 is really amazing because it can show off more of that scene. The only thing you have to watch out for with the 35 is the distortion that the lens creates if you get too close. Now the 85mm and longer focal lengths are used a lot in fashion photography, catalog photography, because they're designed to show that impact. Now I used to use this lens a lot more. You know, the images were so loud, they were so present. It's also an incredible lens if you've got a really busy background, if you've got chords, it really compresses that background and isolates your subject, and so it's perfect for cleaning up unwanted things in the background. And I think sometimes this is the absolute best lens for headshots. Now, I don't do a whole lot of headshots during my boudoir shoots, so I don't really use it that often, but if that's a big thing for you, more power to you. The negative that I see with the 85 is that when you look at a picture shot with it, it really does look like a photo, like a camera. It has that impact, and what it does for me is it takes it away from the person in the photo and places more importance on the aesthetic of how the image was created. You kind of look at the image and you go, whoa, instead of, wow, that's beautiful. And that's one of the things that I really love about the 50mm. I also think the 50mm is a super personal focal length because it removes the kind of what lens was that taken with look. You're able to pay more attention to the person in the photo than the overall photographic character of the image. And lastly, I love the 50 because it's just so versatile. If you get really close, you can make it kind of look like an 85. If you get further away, you can make it look like a 35. It just kind of is an all-in-one lens. So let's talk about the A9 briefly. So I used Canon for 4 years. I had a Canon 5D Mark IV before this, and it was a great camera. And honestly, if I didn't shoot video, I'd still be using it. I've used Sony cameras for video for the last 2.5 years. They're just better in every way until you upgrade to like the C100, which is an amazing camera, but still lacks things like built-in stabilization and super high frame rates. So, you know, pick and choose your battles. I can say since switching to the A9, my in-focus hit rate is a lot higher. My exposures are more accurate because of the EVF. I think the Zeiss glass is sharper. And now that I have only one camera for my photo and video, I'm shooting both a lot more because I have the camera in my hands at all times, and it makes it a lot easier to switch between the modes. Every so often I get a client that wants a boudoir video. It's something pretty unique to my business, and the Sony is just amazing for that. The 120 frames a second, the super fast autofocus. It's just really is built as a professional camera, not just for photos, buffer video too. So I've linked a couple of my boudoir videos, as well as a link to a video to a course that I teach specifically on how to shoot boudoir video. So feel free to go check those out. All right guys, that wraps it up. I hope you guys learned something. I'd love to know what lenses you use for your boudoir shoots, so leave them down in the comments. And if there's anything else you want to learn, let me know in the comments and I'll try and put together a YouTube video specifically answering that question.